What's up, guys, and what is the difference between specialty surfactants and commodity surfactants? That is the cliffhanger we left you with at the end of last week with this unlabeled graph. And so now here is the full answer, the full graph, and you can see we've got two axes. On the vertical, the gross margin as a percentage of sales, and the horizontal axis, SG&A, that's selling, general and administrative costs as a percentage of sales. Important thing to note here is the points on the graph, the circles on the graph, are actually business units. So looking at this from the point of view of a surfactant manufacturer, you're a Stepan or a Syensco or a Dow or a Pilot Chemical, each of those circles is a piece of business that you have for your surfactants in, let's say, household or personal care or cosmetics, industrial, institutional cleaning. It might be metalworking, oil and gas, etc. Agrochemicals, emulsion polymerization, that's each of your business units. You do a little bit of management accounting and figure out the gross margin and the SG&A that you're spending against each of those business units. And here's a little reminder of how those metrics play out in your typical P&L. You've got your plant costs, your raw materials, brings you down to the gross margin line. Take out then the costs of things like R&D, technical service, regulatory, HR, legal, accounting, etc. below the line. Those are the SG&A costs, selling, obviously, and marketing, all those marketing expenses down to your profit line. So anyway, if you do this analysis and put your business units on this 2x2 kind of matrix type graph, you'll see that they line up. And so in that bottom right-hand corner, you can see these big, high volume, low margin businesses. That's your commodity surfactant business. Conversely, up in the higher gross margin end, the top right-hand corner of the graph, you'll see the higher margin, typically lower volume, specialty businesses. And you'll notice that it's the SG&A, how much you spend against each of those types of business, that's actually within your control. These are conscious decisions you make in terms of how you allocate resources. And obviously down at the commodity end of the business, you're not going to spend a lot of SG&A compared to the specialty end of the business. Great example I love to give is you're not going into Procter & Gamble, right, and advising them with tech service and applications, formulations, and suggestions and technical papers. You're not going to advise them how to use LAS, right, that high volume commodity surfactant in laundry detergent. I think they've got that, right? I think they understand that. They just need the product on time at the right price. Conversely, some of the more specialty products you're selling, it might be a demulsifier for a hydraulic fluid. It's a brand new chemistry. You're going to have to support that with a lot of applications, a lot of technical support, a lot of regulatory support. A lot of papers being written and given, presentations at all these trade associations, all the marketing collateral, all that SG&A spending, very, very necessary to maintain that business. And so as you look at those two quadrants, if you like, you get to understand now the difference between commodity and specialty. Also, and take a look at how I've labeled these places, the good place and the not good place. If you're overspending, particularly against a business which is essentially commodity, right? You're off to the right-hand side of that dotted line. That is not a good place to be, and you need to be analyzing your portfolio of businesses on a regular basis. Many companies do as a yearly exercise in their off-site strategic planning. You need to do this and monitor how these things move, because they do move over time. Often a specialty chemical, specialty surfactant, will evolve into a commodity. It rarely goes the other way. And so you need to keep an eye on that. So first thing, the GM versus SG&A graph, very important to remember. We had another question last week also, and that is what makes specialty chemicals so special? They're worth more. What do I mean by that? Actually, I mean the companies that make specialty chemicals are worth more than the companies that make commodities. I've got some data here from Grace Matthews, an investment bank here, and they take 10 years worth of data. I'm looking at the report right now. 10 years, bang up to date, February 24. And the trading multiples, the enterprise value to EBITDA multiples of commodity chemical companies is about 7.6x. For specialties, it's 11.3. What does that mean? It means every dollar of EBITDA, it's the same US dollar, but every dollar of EBITDA, if it comes out of a specialty chemicals company, is worth 50% more than the dollar of EBITDA generated by a commodity chemical company. That's why specialty chemicals are so special. Now, we could argue why that is, why it's worth more, and maybe we will in a future episode. But for now, I hope I've given you something to think about as you look at your portfolio of businesses. Thanks for listening.